All right, everybody, it's the Jere Metcalf podcast where top real estate agents tell how they do it. And today on the show, we have Hilary Farnum-Fasth. She is an agent who is the broker owner of Corcoran Reverie on 30A in Florida. Hilary, thank you so much for coming on the show.
Thank you so much for having me.
So, for those of you who are getting this live and not with the intro, this is not live, by the way, Hilary. Don't worry, this is recorded, but we stream it. But anyway, for those of you who don't know Hilary yet, when you drive down 30A in Florida, you just see her signs and her agent signs with Corcoran Reverie. Top agent, I'm sure, in the city, and if not in the state, and lots of gorgeous $10+ million listings and less, including this one for what, 5 million in Atlanta Beach, right behind me.
That's exactly right.
I wish I could say it was really up here, but I'm not. So, Hilary, tell us, first of all, how and why did you get in the business in the first place? But before you do that, do give us a little more about where you are now and what your business looks like today.
Yeah, absolutely. So we just celebrated our 1-year anniversary as Corcoran Reverie. It's just been an incredible ride. It's been a once in a lifetime opportunity to bring agents together under this brand that is, the independent brand for Realogy. And it's just been incredible. It's, the pandemic, obviously 2020 and 2021 has been unlike anything anyone has ever experienced in real estate. I got my license in 1997. So when I say that this is different, I'm speaking from years and years of experience, and I never thought I would, ever live through a market like this. So it's been incredible.
It's been insane. And it's now, for everybody listening, it is 2021 and we are, oh my gosh, it's such a crazy time. I don't know what month it is, but it's November. By the time this releases, we'll be mid to late November of 2021.
Yeah.
So that being said, you've got an office of how many agents? You've got incredible volume. Give us a little bit of that, and then I want to hear how it all started.
Sure. So we're right now a little over 150 agents, and that is between our Destin office and our multiple offices on 30A. And then, of course, we service the Panama City Beach area as well.
Wow. So you've got several offices along 30A from Panama City to Destin and 150 agents. And now let's talk about you and how you came to being in real estate and where you are today. So what happened?
Yeah, absolutely. I kind of can't believe I'm one of those people saying how I started. And it's just been, it feels like it's been such a short time that I've actually been doing real estate, because it's just this incredible passion for me, right? And I think the word passion is used very often, but now that I'm going on almost 24 years in the business and it feels like nothing, it's kind of like a marriage, right? When you've been married for so many years and you feel like it was such a short period of time, that's what this feels like for me. And it's been pretty incredible to go from being, a new agent to becoming a top producing agent, to becoming a broker, to becoming a top producing brokerage, to now be affiliated with an incredible brand. So it's been a, dream come true type career, and it's come with a ton of hard work. I just can't stress enough. I have agents all the time who, really want to have that success as quickly as possible. And because real estate is a lifelong career and there's not really an end date, I think that's where, it's right. Not something, right? It's not something where you put 10, 20, 30, whatever years in and you walk out the door one day. If you've done it well and you've done it right, you're doing it for as long as you mentally can, which can be for some people much longer than any other career could ever give them. So to me, it's never been about how quick I could have success or how quick I could help my agents have success. It's always just been like, I knew I would do this for my whole life. Like once you love something, right? And once it's just like an extension of yourself, I'm not looking for an end. And I hope my agents are just trying to build something that is with them for the rest of their lives. So for me, I did start right out of college. I actually started in Destin, Florida as the marketing director for Regatta Bay Golf course community, which at the time was, one of the most premier new communities on the Bay. It still is a very prestigious community. It's very luxury, high end. And I started in marketing. And within a year of doing that, I say I was tricked into getting into real estate because I actually did not want to.
Right.
Yes, right. I really did not want to get into real estate because my mom was in real estate. I just thought it looked god awful. I wanted nothing to do with it as a teenager.
Right. Like you
Yeah.
should have known better. And now
Yes.
you love it. Let's hear
Yes.
about that.
Yes. And yeah,
So, yeah.
exactly.
So you're director of marketing for Regatta Bay Golf, and
Yes.
that was a community,
Yes.
or was that a golf membership, a golf club?
No, that was it. It was a residential community with golf
I mean,
course.
what a great start. So how
It was.
it was kind of like, okay, time to get your license for the job, and suddenly that changed into something else. Is that what we're hearing?
Yes. So the day that I got licensed is the day they needed me to be in full-time sales conveniently.
Huh.
Yeah. So
That's the Southern way to do it, right?
Yes, that is. So
that makes sense.
yeah, but it was in my blood. It was meant to be. I know I was always meant to be in sales, and
Yeah.
And so I quickly, I mean, just really from day one, because it was what I was meant to be. And I did love, representing, it was lifestyle. So my very first exposure to real estate was all about the lifestyle. And I never sold anything, and I don't sell anything today. Right. And that's the big, big difference. It's helping people, it's educating them on the lifestyle that they're seeking. And that's what's always made it great for me and fun for me. And that's, I've never seen it as truly selling anyone anything.
So you did say though, you saw what it was like, because I say, if you see what it's like, you don't really want to do this. And then you kind of fell into it or got tricked. I love that, because you kind of did. And it sounds like the difference for you, which I think is a great message for all of us, is the difference was the way you fell into it. You came from a place of learning. You were learning, and you were growing, and you were helping others, and you were having a good time. So you were able to transition your first role into doing that to grow your career. You kind of started with those values of serving others, learning and helping others learn, and having fun.
Well, that's right. And I think what was kind of the perfect marriage for me was I had come from Walt Disney World. I'd worked for them for a few years prior to real estate.
Wow. Okay.
And everything at Disney is about, customer service and making these magical experiences for people. So my entire training, which when you're trained at Disney, it's at a level unlike anything else. And to be able to then create magical experiences for people buying their dream homes was such a natural transition. And I didn't really realize that until years later, that I had basically just gone from making magical Disney memories for people to magical real estate memories. And my whole career got built basically on the concept behind the Disney experience. But I didn't know I was doing that. Yeah, I was subconsciously doing that outwardly and didn't know it till, like I said, I've just reflected on that now all these years later.
Wow. So can you think of an example of, because that it's making imprints on people's lives, and that's what we're doing, know it or not, as a real estate agent. So it's back to serving people, learning and growing together. And oh, by the way, it's fun. Go back to what was the big, like when you went to Disney, because we're going to carry it forward, going and having training and working for a company like that. You go in, and when you're young, you think it's just a job. Like, okay, it's a job. What do you want me to do? Got it. Check, check, check. Right? Like, check, give me the check. How did that transform, or was that not, like, what did Disney do for you?
Yeah, well, Disney absolutely transformed my life in every way. I was able to experience training at a level I just don't think you get anywhere but there. It's a culture. It's a understanding of what culture means and why it matters, that you are determining people's like lifelong dreams realized, and that you have to totally check yourself. And it doesn't matter if you're having a really bad day or if your car broke down on the way to work. I mean, I was a pretty poor college student at the time that I was doing Disney, and it didn't matter. When you stepped onto property, you just checked all of that. And that's really carried through for me for real estate, because if I ever were to allow anything in my own personal world to impact someone's dream of owning a home, that's not okay. So that training was just crucial. I mean, I joke it was kind of like being in the military, or kind of like being in
Yeah.
a or like a happy cult, but in a good way. We definitely were brainwashed in a good, positive way about how to, serve people, and that the customer was truly always right, not because they were entitled to it, but because it had to do with sacrifice on their part. Most likely, they either sacrificed to save to be able to provide this trip to their families, or they had to, drive really long distances, or whatever all the reasons and things that led up to them being there meant something so much more, than just a vacation. It might be their one and only time they ever got to go there. Or like, we're really big back in the 90s when I worked there. It was the Make-A-Wish Foundation. And sometimes it was children's last, dying wish was to go to Disney. And can you imagine if we were not all just offering them every possible experience in that moment? And so it was really incredible. And so that definitely has translated over for real estate for me.
Wow. Yeah.
Always viewed the opportunity to help people as something exceptional and not a transaction. It never was transactional for me. It was never a paycheck for me. There was so much more behind it. It's the
Exactly.
and it's the full service experience that we talk about in the luxury, because I'm luxury real estate, obviously. And I was always in luxury from day one. And the reason that I think I was able to step into luxury real estate is because I stepped out of the, um, full service experience of what Disney offers. And I just applied that to real estate. So, an example of that is putting up, a Christmas tree for somebody that's coming in town for Christmas, that's their second home, and their family's just coming in for the week Christmas. Well, they're not thinking about putting a tree up at their second home. But if I know they're coming, then, I'll go in and put up a little tree for them, or whatever the case may
Yeah.
be. Yeah. So it's just, again, it's just making it a magical experience instead of a transactional one.
One something else that just listening to you and taking away from that is number one, to repeat what you said, is when you're working with people, remembering it's not about you, it's about them and what they've invested, whether it was going to Disney in the start of your career, or whether it's buying a home or their vacation home on 30A. And that's really special. And number two, not only because it's so easy as people to make it all about us all the time, it's what we do. But at the end of the day, you take away your own power. There's so much power that we have to affect and impact people's lives and our own well-being is the wrong word, our own abundance and
Yeah.
affluence and influence, which is really valuable if you want a successful career. And the power is right there. If you just harness it and take it and run with it, the success is there to be had.
Yeah, it is.
What was a pivoting moment for you at Disney? And then let's hop back into your career where you kind of, did you get it at Disney because that was the culture and you just went with it and it finally got ingrained in you? Or was there a moment where you really grasped like what it was about and it changed the way you saw things?
Oh, absolutely. Once you get to experience what the training was all about, and you would see that you were impacting people's lives, it was addictive. And I knew then, I was like, I want to do this forever. I want people to smile like that back at me forever, right? I want them to tell me how incredible their vacation was and that their lives are forever changed because of something that we got to play a role in. Not even necessarily me, but just the whole experience. It's addictive. I mean, and that's what real estate is, right? I mean, the first time that someone tells you how happy they are with their new home and that you've made their dreams come true, right? It's just like, there's no better feeling. It's like a drug.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
It's a good one. It's a healthy one.
it's a healthy one. Some days.
Right, well, yeah, good point. Good point. So going back to Disney, to director of marketing for a golf community, to now I'm a real estate agent. You started out on site and then you transitioned to resell. Take us through that and kind of where you really had to make your own and what that looked like. How did that unfold?
Well, fundamentally, I think it was incredibly important that my career in real estate started with new construction, because to learn how to sell and to be able to present new construction as the basis of foundation of my real estate career is really why I'm here today. You know, to be able to help people visualize a home that's not there is a whole other skill set. And I did have to be trained on that. You know, some of it came naturally, but some of it took practice, and it would take going out in the field and, you know, practicing what the vision is. And I've learned recently, so here's a little interesting side note. In order for me to get hired, I had to do like 3 different Gallup polls because they were looking for certain personalities. And I don't know what that personality was.
I was going to say what, right.
But interestingly, they didn't just do it once, which I think is telling, because they did it multiple times over a period of time. It was very, very hard to get into Disney back in the 90s. It was a very coveted position coming out of college or from my college internship. And so fast forward now, so that was, 20 plus years ago. Fast forward, I just did the Gallup poll again for Corcoran, and I scored at the very top. My very top thing is that I'm futuristic, which means I'm a visionary. And it is so incredibly cool to me that I think I've always been a visionary. And I think from the very beginning in real estate, when I was given the opportunity to present a vision for people, it was in me naturally. And I just needed someone to pull it out of me. And that gift was given to me. So someone gave me that gift and said, here's what, visualizing looks like in real estate. And then it just resonated with me. I mean, just like, but I didn't know why until now. So literally 20 years later, I found out it's because that's what I am. In my DNA, in my personality, I am a visionary. And so it's
so that really it also gave you to be able to see that you're going to be successful and see your career in front of you as it unfolds. Yes. A lot of people just can't do this, don't like this business or being an agent for that.
Yeah, you're right. And the second I got a taste of that, I knew I could do that. And I knew I loved it. And it came so naturally. So the new construction aspect, not only did it teach me how to be able to, show the vision for people, but to see homes built from the ground up, to see the dirt cleared, to see the foundation poured, to see the rods that go in and the framing and all the different materials, to learn that language, to learn that lingo. And then I took that and I did that for years. So I sold new construction for years. And I even transitioned for the St. Joe company. I transitioned doing new construction for them, new construction sales and pre-construction sales. And it was just such an incredibly natural fit for me, especially when I transitioned over to the resort side. So I started in watercolor, and watercolor is a resort community on 30A. So it was this perfect mix of my resort training from Disney mixed with new construction training at Regatta. And so again, it was just this beautiful marriage for me that was so natural, that was so easy for me to present. I believed in it. You know, I have to believe in it, right? You have to believe in it. If you're not actually selling something, then you need to really believe in what you're talking about. So it was an easy thing for me to believe in. And, you know, in doing that, the new construction, by the time I got into general real estate, which wasn't until 2008. So from 1997 to 2008, it was all vision and all pre-construction and under construction selling. And so in 2008 is when, of course, the whole recession and the market crash is the same time in which I then started selling homes already complete and resales. And so
I'm going to stop you don't lose your
Okay.
thought. And I don't want to
sure.
interrupt you, but I want to make sure everybody's getting this story. You were so good at vision. You were such a visionary in new construction. I was like, why even change? But it was the recession.
Yes,
So was it
I saw it.
right? So everybody, we're at the recession now, which changes you from literally Disney to on-site with the golf community, the Bay. It's
Yes.
well known too. Regatta Bay
Yeah.
Golf Resort.
And then St. Joe.
And then St. Joe. And then 2008.
Yes.
So now the stuff hits the fan. Or
Yes.
you can say shit on this show, but so then what? So what unfolds, and were you like, now, like, give us, like, take us there. What's going on in 2008?
Well,
It changes.
again, well, hindsight's really easy for me, but now I realize, because I'm a visionary, I saw that it wasn't going to be okay. I realized it wasn't going to be okay. I realized I couldn't just ride, you know, it down into the gutter. I realized I was going to want to keep eating, and I had a family, and I actually ended up going out of the sales where I was at with St. Joe, where I was having incredible success still. Actually, I was at the top for the company, but I saw what was happening, and I knew if I didn't go to the resale side, I wasn't going to survive. I knew the company would be great. I knew they were going to be great no matter what. I mean, they were incredible, and I knew
like that. Yeah.
They could weather it. I could not personally, though. So I did. I took a really bold step and went out from everything I'd always known of, you know, development sales and new construction, and went just straight into general real estate. And it was
that was not you're in a market. You're in a market where you're in a second home market. That's a bold move. I just want to note that, everybody. So what did that look like?
Well, everyone thought I was crazy, that I wasn't just staying within what appeared to be the safety of where I was. What my job I had seemed so safe compared to what I was going into. And I quickly went in from, you know, a very safe position into negotiating short sales, because in 2008, that's all the business we had to do was short sales. And it was before we had attorneys negotiating. It was before there was short sale anyone. It was us as the agents talking to the banks every day, all day.
And that's not fun.
No, and we really had no business doing it, but it was another huge way to learn. And it was another life altering experience, because what I learned in 08 and 09 from doing short sales, and that business was probably equivalent, those 2 years were probably equivalent to like 10 years of real estate. I mean, it just really was. It was so intense. And it was survival, right? You look back and I'm like, how did we survive that? But I also took huge, bold risk. In the midst of everybody else pulling back on their marketing, I doubled down, and I went from never advertising myself. Everyone only knew me as on site for the St. Joe communities. And I doubled down on my, you know, investment into real estate on my own, and was placing, you know, full page ads in what used to be the big magazine for our area every single week. I mean, I was like taking, you know, second mortgage on my house that I shouldn't have been, you know, but I just doubled down and I went all in. I risked it all. Because I knew, I saw it, and I didn't realize how much I saw it until, like, it's easy for me to look back now and go, oh, of course you saw it. You're a visionary. Of course you felt it. Like,
Now,
It's
when you
easy.
know what happens, it's like, well, of course we knew that was going to happen,
Yeah.
but you don't know what's going to happen.
Yeah. But I did know, I mean, I knew there was something fundamentally wrong. I knew that I had just sold some people home sites for 900,000 that were now worth half. I
Something's
knew,
wrong.
like, yeah, I knew. And I knew I had to be positioned in a different way to be able to help those people. And again, it goes back to, this is what's cool too. It goes back to my true heart of this industry, which is to serve people, right? And,
Yeah.
and everyone says that, but it's such a cliche. But I stepped out of my safe place in real estate into an unsafe environment to keep serving my clients, because see, I couldn't serve them anymore
Yeah.
if I stayed where I was, because I wasn't able to do resale. I couldn't help them negotiate their short sale if I stayed where I was. So yes, it was survival, but it was also to serve these people that were my clients and that I felt compassion for. And it's what felt right to do.
Well, and also listening to you, serving and learning and educating people are highly important to you. And then that happens to be fun for you
Yeah.
when you do that.
Yeah.
So you, like you said, you weren't serving. And I remember when you were like short sales, like, oh, that's not like working at Disney. I mean, I guess it has some, it's like very like hard work, like Disney, but it's
Yeah.
different. It's not magical.
Nope.
And, but you also were learning and you
Yeah.
serve and you learn, and
Yeah.
then you have the power to make the magic happen for people.
Yeah.
Have
And,
fun.
and the magic happened to be, hey, it took me 9 months of negotiating, but I finally got you this house. You know, it took me a year, Mr. Seller, of negotiating, but you're free and clear now, and they're wiping out all your debts, and you're not going to have to do bankruptcy. And you know, it was like, it was so,
Yeah.
it actually oddly was probably the most satisfying time in my real estate career, even though it was the absolute worst time. I mean, it
Yeah.
just was to get a seller out of a terrible financial place was amazing. And it was sad, and it was really tragic stories, and partnerships broke up and divorces happened, and you know, all the awful that
Yeah.
happened because people lost all their money. But the little part I played in it for pretty much 08, 09, a little bit of 2010, you know, I'll forever be grateful for. And I'll also forever be scarred by, which is what makes me really
Work hard.
good today, because I know how bad it can be, and I know what it can look like. And I don't live in this fantasy land, no pun intended, of, you know, that it's always, you know, going to be like it is right now. I know how
So
quick.
true.
Yeah.
It's so, because it was unbelievable. I was like,
It was tragic.
it was just like, what just happened? It was
Yeah.
unbelievable what we went through. Like, I remember thinking, are we sure this isn't a depression? Because there's no money anywhere.
Yeah. It wasn't.
Crazy. So now you go from, you learn basically, so the great, like, in one comment on that is, I love how the most successful people, they're always successful because in the worst of times, they make the greatest of decisions. And in that, I mean, they didn't just get lucky. I mean, yeah, there's a lot of luck, but luck comes to those who are prepared. Luck comes to those who have the values in line and are doing things in line with serve, learn. And in that, you find joy. And in that, you apply magic to people's lives. And that's where that success came from. But anyway, so you're doing these things. Here's what I was going to say. When people get squeezed really hard, what's really in them comes out. And that was a really high pressure situation and really looked tragic. And you made opportunity of it.
Yeah.
So
it's a great way to put that. Really great way to put that.
Well, thank you. I'm just listening. 2008, 2009, 2010, and then things start getting better. So take us from 2010 to being an agent in a much more normal market to now you're broker owner at Corcoran Reverie on 30A.
Yeah. So then, because 2008 and 2009 was equal to like 10 years of real estate, and I quickly leapfrogged the process. So 2 years in general real estate in a recession made it possible for me to feel like I was actually ready to open my own brokerage. So in 2010, I pivoted again, and I decided I wanted to actually do my own brokerage. And that's when I partnered and opened up Beachy Beach 38. And everyone also thought I was crazy once again. They're like, who in their right mind is opening a brokerage in 2010? Like, what? We're,
They thought it was still a recession.
Yeah, they still thought it was recession, but see, I saw it had already come back. But then, of course, not good. We had the oil spill in 2010. So right as I'm opening, a new brokerage, we're hit kind of again.
Yeah.
But thankfully, that didn't end up being too much of a hit, and we got through that pretty quickly. So then I just took all my hard work of 08 and 09, applied it into my own brokerage in 2010 with a partnership, and literally just went guns blazing, because my real passion then was to help other agents. And I think I always had that in me too. And I knew that I wanted to mentor other agents. And we were kind of already doing it, because the brokerage we were at, we had our own office, and other agents would come and go, and we'd be able to, help them and work with them. And it really lit a fire in me. And I did really, realize that was a passion. And, at that point, I felt like I had enough to give back, right? I had learned, and I had been through enough markets that I could really speak to a new agent and help them start that path. So from 2010 until 2018, I did brokered Beachy Beach with my partners. And then I realized that because I was always in the luxury segment, and I was always ranking in the top, 1 to 5 of the top agents in our area for, sales, and it was all luxury based. I knew that I had to just like pick that lane. And really, I knew the service I was providing was luxury. I knew the training I was providing was luxury. And I just needed to actually go in that direction of the brokerage, where it was really, really identifiable of what I was representing and what I represented and what my agents represented. And so that's when I then opened Hilary Reverie. And that was a really unique time. It was a really special time. I had a great, just incredible group who opened that with me.
What year was that? 2018?
18. And that was actually,
this is Corcoran Reverie, right?
no, actually,
okay.
this was before Corcoran. I had actually started Hilary Reverie.
Okay, that's what, okay.
Was,
yes, I remember now.
Yeah,
okay.
Which was an independent boutique, high-end luxury real estate company. And it just took off overnight. And we multiplied very quickly with our agents. We grew our leadership team very quickly. We had a just awesome social media presence, and we had an incredible development that was called Grace Point that just took off. It was really a special time.
Grace Point.
Yes.
Right. I remember now. Yes.
Okay. Our office was there. So my office was Grace Point office, and our agent's office out of there. And it was a really special time. It was probably just one of those, I don't think I'll ever have that again. Obviously, it was just this really intimate group of, people that were like family for me, and they believed in what we were, all about. And it was a really cool experience. So
your office is still there.
Yes. So we still,
it's beautiful.
We do. You do. So we still represent Grace Point and still have a presence with Grace Point. And it's just a really special community. It is. I call it a baby Watersound Beach is what I call it. It's the baby sister of Watersound Beach. So I love it. It's special. So then it's really just one of those fairy tale experiences. I had just had a baby. I had a baby very late in life. I have a 2-year-old right now. And so
just one baby, right?
Well, I have 2 older kids, and then the one baby.
Okay.
So I had just come back from having the baby. Let's say it's a week or 2 later, and was coming into the office, and there was a card on my desk from Corcoran. And my office likes to joke a lot, and we prank a lot. And I totally thought it was a prank. I'm like, oh, this is funny because I've been out.
Yeah.
So as the story goes, I actually called Corcoran and said, "Are you really Corcoran?" They're probably like, "What?"
Oh my gosh, because you thought it was a prank. I love it.
I was like, "Oh, I'm going to call this number for sure." I mean, yeah, because I didn't
realize. Who is this messing with me today?
Yeah. I guess I was in like just had a baby mode because I didn't realize that they had actually started affiliating. So in my mind, Corcoran would never be coming to see me because they don't have partners. They don't have affiliates. They're Corcoran. They've been around for 50 years as an independent,
Yeah.
and of course I quickly learned it really was Corcoran. They really were wanting me to partner with them in Northwest Florida. It was pretty incredible. And from there, it was just a whirlwind. I started going up to New York City, meeting with them, getting introduced to their culture, understanding what their mission was, what they were all about. And of course, I had followed them for years. I had actually somewhat, modeled myself after that concept of just that, independent spirit, but with the luxury behind it and, that more fresh feeling. And so anyway, and so then from there, what happened was just really interesting. I, knew that was what I wanted to do. I knew it was good for my agents. Every decision I make is about what's best for my agents and my clients. I knew that having this fresh brand in our market would be incredible. I knew the connector of the Northeast to Northwest Florida would be massively impactful. I could never though have visualized or had the vision of the pandemic. So that is where I just got lucky that I affiliated with a company based out of New York City in the midst then of a pandemic that had everyone coming from New York to Florida. I mean, you can't make that stuff up. So that was luck.
Yeah, sometimes it is just luck, right? But
that
still,
was just luck.
You were prepared for the opportunity.
Yes. Yeah,
so, talk about magical. I mean, everything, yes. But you make it magical. Every time the shit hits the fan, you make it magical.
Yeah. That's how it seems. So I had a friend who was also a broker owner of another boutique company on 30A. It was called 30A Realty, and it was one of the oldest boutique companies. I think the oldest boutique company on 30A. They were this incredible, local based, all about 30A real estate. They were doing really cool things. They had just kind of rebranded under his ownership. He had taken ownership of it. He had, gone with a whole new brand campaign, and he and I served on a local charity together. And you kind of really see someone's mission and their heart and their, desire to give to the community, to give to others, kind of what propels them, because we served on these committees together and on the board together to help kids in need. And through that, we started doing deals together. And with every deal that we do, we're like, gosh, we need to do more of this. We need to do this on a bigger scale. We need to get our agents together. Let's make an impact together. And so we talk about doing sales training with our agents. We talk about how can we get our companies together. And, neither one of us could ever really figure out that path because he loved his brand. I loved my brand. We both were having great success and it just wasn't there. And then when Corcoran came and I knew that that's what I wanted to do, I called him and said, I know it. I know we're going to do this. Just like, I can't tell you yet, because I had to sign all these confidentiality and non-disclosure. I'm like, I can't tell you anything, but just trust me. I have found a way for us to be together.
Oh, that's so awesome.
Yeah. And so then I told Corcoran, I'm like, okay, yes, I want to be partnered with you, but I have somebody else that I want to merge with too. Can we do it all together? And they're like, if you're willing, we're willing. So then we merged together and we launched under Corcoran brand in April of last year. And it's just been incredible. 2020 was just off the charts, thought it could never be duplicated. And then 2021 beat it. Like the numbers are staggering. I think my company is going to hit almost $1 billion in sales. Like it's insane. I'm not sure we're going to hit that. I think we're maybe like at 850 right now, but we have a pretty,
But for 150 agents, that's a huge number.
Yeah. Well, and we went from, in 2019, I ended my year, I think with all my agents, we were like 130 million. So to fast forward 2 years and to hit $1 billion, just because we merged together under this great brand and, in the middle of a pandemic. And I'll tell you, the pandemic thing was interesting. I was supposed to launch February of 2020 and we just were like, there's no way, like there's this thing going on. And then we pushed it to like March, and then it was even worse. And then we pushed it to April and it was getting even worse. And finally I just said, and this was kind of bold, which obviously you're learning, I'm kind of bold. Yeah. I finally just said, we got to do it no matter what. Like I'm going for it no matter what. So it was another like doubling down, right?
But it would have been too late had you waited any longer.
It would have not made any
You
sense. And
couldn't have moved fast
instead,
enough.
yeah, and we ended up getting to be the first company in the history ever of all of Realogy, of all their launches ever, of doing a virtual launch. And so we did our entire launch virtually. Our agents found out over Zoom that they were now going to be under the Corcoran brand, and they were now merged together with another local company. It was just insane in the best way possible. And I wouldn't change it for the world. It was
Well, I
just,
think you'll finish what you're saying. You wouldn't
no,
change.
I wouldn't ever go back. It was meant to be.
And do you think, well, you're an owner. A lot of people would be afraid that the repercussions would be too much and not salvageable because it's also virtual.
Oh yeah. Oh, listen, I wanted to vomit every day leading up to it. I mean, I didn't know if I was for sure, going down with the ship or gonna do this amazing thing, but I had to go for it. Cause I also in my head did think this, I did have this thought, and this is what propelled me. I'm like, if this pandemic takes us down, which is what I thought it was going to do, I had already said to my husband, stop spending money, cancel every subscription we have, right? Like tighten in. I think we're going down with a ship, and we're just going to have to, I've done this before.
Yeah.
And right. I think we all did. And anyone who says they didn't is lying. So I really thought we were going down with a ship.
Yeah.
But my thought was this: for my agents, I thought, wow, if we're going to go down, what a boost for them to have something new and exciting and this huge machine behind them to help them have success and to weather what's going to be a terrible storm. I thought this is going to be what they need. This is going to help them. So it actually ended up being an easy decision because I knew it would help them. Even if things got really bad, I still knew it was good for them.
Yeah. And you knew they would know.
Yeah, they did. And it was to see their faces. I'll never forget, as long as I live, they lit up. To see their faces on Zoom, I knew instantly they got it and they wanted it, and they knew that it was going to be something amazing for them. So I give them all the credit too, that they just, had faith in me and trusted in me and knew that if I was doing something, that it was with their best interest in mind.
Wow. And that's, I mean, like, that just leaves me because basically we just got your story. And now I have so many questions, and we've been talking for an hour. Okay, so again, like we had to hit pause for a minute, everybody, but you just gotten your story, and there's so much to learn from that. So here's the big question of all of that. What has been perhaps your biggest lesson or even hardship overcome and lesson of that in your career?
Okay, that's a tough question. Let me think. Biggest hardship. I had to have more patience and more empathy because I tended to run through. Like, when you are a risk taker, it is hard to put yourself in the shoes of someone who's not a risk taker. So for example, when I would show real estate and they'd say they love the house so much, like, this is awesome, I love it so much, it's perfect. I'm like, okay, let's write the deal, right? Like, to me, there's no hesitation because I wouldn't hesitate. And sometimes they would say, well, we're just gonna, think on it tonight, or we really want to like talk to our accountant. And I'm like, what are you talking about? Like, you just said you love it, it's perfect. Like, I
do it.
Yeah. And it wasn't me being, I wasn't being pushy. I wasn't needing them to do the deal. Like, it didn't make any sense to me. Like, you love it, you want a house, you buy it, right? I definitely had to figure out it's good to give people a second to process. And then I need to realize that not everybody jumps in with both feet immediately. And that the people who actually take a hot second to think about what they're doing, that this is a big asset purchase for them, end up being the stronger buyer. Because sometimes when you just do the impulse thing, they'll quickly contract, but then they quickly cancel. Mm-hmm. So I definitely empathy. I've always been an empathetic person, but I haven't always been empathetic to people needing time to think, because I don't need time to think. I'm a jumper. And so I have had to overcome that. And I definitely in my older age, I'm getting way, but now I'm like a pro at it, but it took me probably all 20 years to become a pro at that.
Right, to
Yeah.
understand, really? What do you,
Yes.
right? I know, or sometimes it's exactly, and there are things we don't know.
Yeah.
One more, and then we'll do the final three. What do you think has been your biggest, like, aha, like, oh, this is how this business works, especially when you're looking at the resale side of it?
Yeah. When I realized that a little bit what I told you at the beginning, that this was not meant to be a end date, that I was building something that was going to last my lifetime. When I realized that how I treated clients was what was building my business, that by going that extra mile, by serving them, because let's be real, some days it's not easy serving, even if you have a heart to serve. I get tired just like everybody else. I feel like sometimes people take advantage of your kindness and your graciousness. And I mean, I get just as frustrated as the next person sometimes, right? But
Yeah,
when I realize, and these deals are not easy. And right now, between appraisers so backed up and no inventory and multiple offers and all the kind of awful part of a hot market, you can kind of it can kind of get to you a little bit, right?
yeah.
And I just love that I've been able to step back and go back into what matters, which is serving the client, taking myself out of it, checking my ego. Because that's the other thing. After this many years of doing it and this much success that I've had, I can sometimes slip into, well, just do what I'm telling you. Like, if you just do
Yeah,
this, I'm going to sell your house. Yeah.
right.
Yeah. That's where I have to just constantly check myself. And I'm doing it out of I'm wanting to fast forward it, right? I'm wanting to say, just do this and it will all work out. And they're like, wait, what? Like, I got to get my house clean first. We got to do this first. Like, they want to go slower and I want to go faster. I eat fast. I talk fast. I do everything fast. So I, I definitely, the aha moment was just slow down, give people that time, let people work at the pace they need to, that, and let it be a longer relationship and a longer term look, and not just the immediate right now, the transaction right now.
It's amazing how that having that mindset makes the more right nows happen.
Yeah.
For
Well,
some
I'll tell you
people,
something.
people start
Like,
coming.
I just had a seller. So I just listed a home. It was an incredible home, $4 million+ home. We weeks and weeks and weeks we spent preparing for it. I mean, maybe even a month. Getting the home ready, getting it set up with the furniture, getting everything right, the photos, etc. And got 2 offers on the property over immediately, like within days of listing it. And they called me and said, "We are so sorry, but we've had a change of heart. We just don't think we can sell now." Yeah, this
Yeah.
just happened. And the younger Hilary would have tried every which way to Sunday to convince them they were wrong. And I would have actually probably honestly been able to convince them to stay in it. But because now that I care more about the long-term relationship, I actually just said, I completely understand. I would never want you to sell if you did not actually want to sell. That wouldn't feel good to me. It's not going to feel good to you. Please, absolutely, we'll cancel it out of MLS today. And, please don't stress at all. And I know they'll be a lifetime client for me, and if I had pushed them into selling, which is what my 20-year-old self would have done, it wasn't right. And so I love that I've matured in that. I love that I've learned that and I've figured that out.
And what a great story, because over time, you said in the beginning of the interview, you said 24 years, but it feels like I just, so I've been doing it 18 years, and I go, like, when people know who you are, you're like, but like, I just started like, it's only been a couple of years. Like, how do you know who I am? Right? I mean, look
Yeah.
at you, you're an icon. You really are. Question. I leave you with that and on to the next question. And then I swear I'm about to get to our final three. Two more. I want to talk real quickly about team structure and how you function at such a high level, because I don't know how many listings you have, but I couldn't count. It was so many. And we're talking multi-million-dollar listings, and you are a broker owner.
Yes.
So how do you, what is your advice? Oh, excuse me. What is your advice, and how is it do you have agents on a team? Do you have lots of admin? What is your recommendation, and how are you structured to make that happen so beautifully and for so much inventory?
So I have my partner, whose name is Jacob Watkins. He's my actual sales partner. So we do all the sales together. And then we have incredible support. So we have incredible executive admin and that just, support us in every way possible. I will say this is actually my tip. You didn't ask for a tip, but this is leading into this.
Please, yeah.
I've never done my own transactions. Like I've never done after you get it under contract, I've never been the one setting everything up, because I believe that's a different skill set. And I believe as a successful agent, if you want to go to that other level, you have to let go of that. I'm a control freak too. I mean, I'm right there with everybody, but I knew from day one, I needed to focus on my greater skill set, which was helping people find their dream, and getting bogged down in the transaction, which was not my strongest skill set, took away from this. I knew that. And most agents do the opposite. They wait until they've had enough success, until they've had too many deals, until they're drowning, until they're whatever, until they financially feel okay. And it goes back to that having a vision. You either visualize your success and set yourself up for that success, or you stay kind of stuck. And I've never been stuck. So like my leadership team, they're extensive. And I actually had a really big leadership team when I only had 30 agents, because I knew I was going to have over 100 agents one day. I didn't know how, I just knew I would. I knew that I would want to grow more and help more agents and mentor more agents. And I knew that what we were offering as a leadership team would be appealing. And so I set it up to begin with. Could I afford all those salaries to begin with? I mean, it was questionable probably, on the amount of sales I had, but I was determined.
But you've got the vision.
I had the vision, and I was willing to invest in my company and myself and my agents, right? You got to invest in your future. You can't just live in the moment. That will never work in business, whether you're a single agent, part of a team, a broker, whatever. If you're only paying for services of where your business is now and not where you want it to be, you're never going to get here. So you've got to be above.
Usually if you're just paying for right now, not only do you not grow, you usually do the opposite, because usually you're going to go up or down. Yeah. And if you're not doing stuff to go up, you're just going to go down.
That's it. And then I'm really fortunate in that my leadership team is like all in. It's not a 9 to 5 for them. They are just all heart in. Like they have the same heart for it that I do. They are not looking to check out at 5 o'clock on Friday. we're on group text together all day, every day. And, they never say, hey, stop texting me. It's Sunday at 10 p.m. It's fun, and which is just constant banter. And it's a really special thing. I'm really fortunate to have them. I can't train it. I can't hire it. You either have all heart in or you don't. And that's what's made this company so special. It's what allows me to then go be all I need to be for my clients. It allows me to run my sales business and also help the agents at the level I want to help them. And then basically I just don't sleep, and that helps a lot too.
Isn't that the truth, right?
If you just don't sleep, you can do everything.
You just don't sleep.
Yeah.
No, exactly. But you talk about having heart. When you've had to fire somebody, I'm sure it's happened. How do you know?
How do I know when you have to fire someone?
How do you know when somebody's got to go?
So I really struggle with that, actually. I'm very loyal. And because I haven't ever had to let someone go on leadership, I have had leadership people just transition into sales, because obviously sales is so alluring. But so far I've been really lucky, and I haven't had to do that. And I've just been with the same people. And
wow.
Yeah, it's been a really fortunate thing. But I also think that I give that to them. So I give them all of me, and I give my agents all of me, and I give my life all of me. And I am such a cliche. I live it to the fullest. I never say no. People say I should start saying no, but every time I say yes, it opens up some incredible door. And even when it's hard for me, even when the yes creates sacrifice for me, it's like this incredible door open. But I'm also a huge faith-based person. And I definitely believe, you know, I've got God leading of these yeses too. And, you know, I know when to say no, because I do have that discernment, but the yeses are just so clear.
Wow. And do you think, is there, when you hire people, do you think you just have a knack for knowing that right person when you see them?
So yes, so it's interesting. After this many years of doing this business, as soon as they talk like maybe 5 minutes worth, I know it's like dating when you're in your 40s. You know right away if it's worth going on a second date. You know within, you know, you don't even know if you need to stay on the first date when you're in your 40s. You know, like that's why people get married so quick in their 40s. You just know yourself, right?
You know,
That's
right.
how this is.
40s, but right, right.
It's the same thing. The only thing is that I am a sucker for believing in people, and I am a sucker.
Ooh,
Okay.
right.
And so even when they say things that I'm like, oh, I don't know that I don't know that this is right for you. I don't have the heart to tell them, because I want to believe that maybe they do have something. And maybe if I set them up on the right mentoring path, they'd have the opportunity. And I don't want to be the dream killer. You know, it's like, I'm willing to try with them. I've only had a couple times though. I have definitely hired a few agents where I made a huge mistake, and I should have trusted my instinct. But you know what? I'm glad on so many of the others that I didn't, and I gave them a chance, because they've turned out to be amazing agents.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Okay, one more question and then the final
Okay.
three. So winning listings, or people hire, whatever you want to call it, whether when somebody calls you to list their house, is there a listing appointment? What does it look like? How does it go? Is it different every time? Just give us a quick taste of that.
So I've always been just off the cusp. I just talk and I listen. I find out what's motivating them to want to sell first and foremost. So before you ever talk numbers, before you ever talk about, well, great, I can do for you marketing and how great I can blah, 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 I just listen. Why are you selling? What's brought, I mean, usually I know because it's a repeat client. I'm pretty much only working with clients that I've worked with for years. I'm not really taking new business. So I usually know why. I usually sold them the house. But I really like to understand the why behind it and what their goals are. You know, is there a 1031 goal in mind? Are they trying to offset a loss? Are they, you know, does the gain need to come next year? So we need to wait a few months. It's a wealth conversation. And that's the key too to luxury real estate. You have to understand wealth. You have to understand that language and the ramifications. You can't play accountant. You can't play lawyer. I don't ever try or want to, but you need to understand, if they just sold that house less than a year ago, what that means for them. What does that look like? Do you need to make it where the sale doesn't take place until November so that they can hit that 2-year mark or that 1-year mark or whatever, right? You got to be able to talk that language. And that's probably first and foremost. And then it's data. You just have to know your market cold. You have to be able to speak on the phone to them about what the house next door just sold for, what the house down the street just sold for, why theirs is better, why theirs is worse, what makes theirs special, what made the other one special. You got to know it backwards and forwards, because I promise you, they know what makes their house special. They know why their house is better than their neighbors. Now, it's not always better than the neighbors, and you got to be able to say that too, right?
Exactly.
Yeah, but they will trust you the second that you know more than them, and not in like a know-it-all way, but in I'm an expert at my job, just like you're an expert at your job, Mr. Seller, and you've come to me because I'm supposed to be the expert. And if they know more than me, no way are they listing, So that's it. It's the knowledge. It's what everybody says. It's the knowledge, and it's listening.
Beautifully said. Listen and know your market.
Yeah.
That's it. Very simple. Dog and pony shows. The higher the price point, the less appealing they become.
Yeah. They already know. They know you're going to have all the stuff.
You wouldn't be there.
They wouldn't be calling you if they didn't know. I mean, they know you got the shiny brochure,
Exactly.
Yeah.
All right, now the final three.
Okay.
First of the final three is, what do you think has been your biggest resource in your success?
Definitely my mother. My mother runs my business. Actually, she runs all the, yeah. So,
Oh, that's awesome. So
okay.
your mother has been your greatest resource in your success. That's
Yes,
awesome.
for so many reasons. I mean, just
Give it
from a
to us.
support, well, just as a very strong woman who was in real estate, she did it for 30 years. So I had this incredible role model. She was incredibly good at it. She was strong. I saw how you do it and you do it well. And then she transitioned into running the back side of my business. So I have someone I can trust 100%, which gives me then all the confidence in the world to go out and just run the other side of the company. I don't have to worry about that side. That is the biggest factor imaginable for my success in the company.
Someone that you trust, that knows the business and understands it. And though she's from a generation before
Yes,
you or us, so we're about the same age. So
that's right.
look at that, like it's like she's got to keep up with the times, which clearly she's done, which is like what a
Yes.
gift.
Yeah,
What an amazing gift. So it's like magical, like fairy dust is going everywhere. It's awesome. And everyone that said that fairy dust comes from like that in the face of adversity, look at what you make of it. It's such a great story. Next question. Is there a book that you read and it just transformed you or your career that you say, y'all just have to read this?
So it's going to be really, cliche, but it's 2 Disney books. So it's there's a culture. Yeah. So there's a culture book out there for leadership. So the Disney culture book is amazing. And then there's also, a Disney book that's great on the sales side of it. Names are slipping me right now of the name of that, but the culture book is incredible.
The culture book, and it's a Disney book, but it's called, the name of it is The Culture Book.
Yeah.
And the other one is a Disney book that we'll get the name.
Yes.
We'll get the name because we'll have show notes so that everybody can have
Yes.
access. Awesome. All right. Now the last question. If you know that we're going to forget everything but one thing from our conversation today, that's everybody listening, what do you hope that we take away from this?
Oh gosh, that's a good question. That you're here to serve people.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Beautifully said. Hilary, so awesome to get a whole hour and 15 minutes with you. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much for all the time. This has been great.
Thank you for listening to 3 Things to Know with JM Partners, the weekly update on what's happening in residential real estate on the ground in Atlanta. If you like what you heard, please subscribe and share with your friends who might be moving or just want to keep up with the latest on the Atlanta residential real estate market. You can find us anytime online at 3thingstoKnow.jmpartners.io. That's 3thingstoKnow.jmpartners.io.